You'll be able to get by with us and then out everybody on Thursday.
Yeah.
Welcome, everyone. We'll call the meeting to order, the open session. We did call the meeting to order earlier, and we have been in closed session. So to rise and report from the closed session, the recommendation is that in the continuing interest of transparency and open government, the mayor reported in open session the following outcome of today's closed session meeting. The closed session minutes of August 14th, 2023 were adopted as circulated and direction was provided to staff. Could I have a mover for that motion, please? Councillor Broderick, so moved, seconded by Councillor Ennis. All in favor? Motion is passed. At this time, we will have the playing of the national anthem. Anyone who can, please stand. We acknowledge that we're being hosted on the ancestral lands of the Haudenosaunee, Mississauga, and Omama people. We acknowledge and welcome the presence of all Indigenous peoples, including the Métis, Inuit, and other First Nations from across this vast land, who also makes this place home. The lands we are on today are recognized in the Two-Row Wampum, Dish with One Spoon Treaty, Treaty 27, and the Crawford Purchase. So the first item tonight is open forum. So the first 15 minutes of the meeting is set aside for open forum. Any members of the public can speak for no more than 3 minutes. And there is anything that is said here in accordance with the Ontario Municipal Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act. It is considered public information. And we have 2 people on the list that have signed up this evening. So we will call them first, and then we'll open it to anyone else who wishes to speak this evening. So the first one is, and I apologize, I'm trying to read is it Louise? Yes, please come forward up to the chairs here and have a seat, and there is a timer on the screen. It's up on here. It'll count down the 3 minutes. When it gets close, it turns to yellow. We just ask you to adhere by the time so we can keep the meeting moving along. And please just provide your name and address.
Yes.
And provide us with your information.
Yes. My name is Louise Farah Watson. I live at 112 Greenhaven Court at the Loyalist Golf. And I come here tonight on behalf of the property owners on Greenhaven Court. We moved in over a year and 9 months ago. And there's been issues with sidewalks and driveways and grading of all our properties. Sometimes it's been done 2-3 times over. They put the sod down, they do the grading, they take the grading, they put the sod down. Now they're ungrading again. Anyways, Caitlin, and the township has been aware of this. I've made them aware. Now I received an email from Corey Grant back in June. May, June, July, August 28th, the sidewalks were supposed to start. They did start on September 8th on Friday afternoon when they quit at noontime, or Friday morning, sorry, but they quit at noon, right? Anyways, the crushed stone and the forms, they put the crushed stone down now, but the forms haven't been done, and the concrete is coming tomorrow supposedly, but the forms haven't not been done. So they said now, maybe Thursday or Friday. Well, how long are we supposed to walk through a moat with no bridge to the road? We have no access to the road, and we do, I have to go through the moat, and it's very dangerous to step in a 2-foot hole over stones and dirt. And what about disabled access? The lady next door has issues with her knees. They didn't leave any kind of platform so that you can walk over. And even if they did, it's so full of stones, you can break an ankle, whatever. Anyways, I'm just so tired of this whole Caitlin business. We have, I don't know who the inspector is that did the the permits for occupation for Caitlin, but whoever he is, he should take a course on what a real home is, and before passing for, giving permits for occupation. Many homeowners got home inspectors done on their new homes, and the inspectors found many problems with their foundation, many cracks, leaks. Actually, the home across the street, she had 9 leaks in her home. The insulation in our attic and many other attics was not enough. When the inspector came, she told them about it. The foundation that was poured, some of them are not level, so the workers are walking off. The people who are supposed to finish these homes are walking off because they don't want to work with there. And even a deck, our deck was supposed to have met code. We had to spend $3,900 to get it fixed properly so that it wouldn't shake. Now, what inspector would do this? Does he have a vision problem? Maybe he needs new glasses, or maybe, he should take a course to find out what a real home is like. Anyways, All I know is that no homes on Greenhaven Court should have passed possession until they were finished. But after all the delays by Caitlin, some people have had these homes and are still dealing with issues after a year and 9 months. So giving Caitlin any more permits to build maybe at the Loyalist Township should make sure that the projects are finished in a timely manner. No one should have to go
I
through
just
this.
ask you to wrap up your
Yeah.
20 seconds.
Sorry, no one should have to go through this, that the owners on Greenhaven are still dealing with this after living on a street for 1 year, 9 months. And what I was more concerned about,
Excuse me, could you please wrap up?
well, I'm finished, really. I just want to say the Loyalist Township should be ashamed to allow such incompetence by Caitlin. That's it.
Thank you. Next one that signed up was Gary Mack. Same thing, if you could just have a seat, give your name and your address, and then you can provide us with the information.
Okay, my name's Gary Mack and my wife and I are, my wife's Kay Mack, and we live on lot 24 on Reese Road. And this is pertaining to the zone bylaws that the planning committee is on document on the agenda 6.2 concerning Penny Porter's land that she wants to change the bylaws.
And if I may, just before you start, that's a planning act, so there'll be an open, there'll be a public meeting at that time, right? So if we just ask that that's already, when we get to 6.2, we'll be asking for anyone in the audience that wishes to speak to it. And if you wish, you could come up and speak then, and
Okay.
that would bring it into the record at the proper time.
Good, thank you.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you. Is there anyone else in attendance in the chambers that wishes to speak this evening?
My wife and I appeared, she just spoke a few minutes ago.
Okay, could you just give your name and address?
Rich
too, and then-
Watson, 112 Greenhaven.
Thank you.
The point I'd like to raise is we submitted a petition. We didn't want the sidewalk on Greenhaven. We submitted, I don't know if any of you remember, we were here last year. The point being, we never received a formal response to say, no, we don't recognize your petition, or your petition is not valid, or whatever. We never received any proper response, which I think is kind of disappointing, considering we had over 40 signatures of residents on the street and in the surrounding area. So I was very disappointed in that lack of response and disappointed in the overall outcome. Here we are, as my wife mentioned, 18 months down the road, 20 months down the road, and we're still in mud and dirt. And we're not obviously pleased with the reaction of council, or lack of reaction.
Thank you. Anyone else in attendance that wishes to speak this evening under the open forum? Seeing none, I'll call for the virtual audience. Is there anyone in the virtual audience that wishes to speak in the open forum session? And if so, please use the raise hand feature. None? So the next item is public meetings and notices of public meetings. This first one is notice of public meeting and recommendation for the Loyalist Club Estates Phase 11. And just before we're just going to change the order slightly in the agenda. I'm going to call for if there's any declarations of pecuniary interest or the general nature thereof at this time.
Yes,
Councilor Porter, or sorry, Councilor Parks. I'm never going to get straight.
thank you, Your Worship. I have to declare a conflict of interest on 6.1 due to employment of a family member.
Thank you. Any other declarations at this time? Seeing none, we'll proceed with the public meeting. Thank you. So we've got staff here. Do you have any additional information or presentation this evening?
Excuse me, yes, through the mayor, just a quick overview of the applications. The applications are a red line to a draft approved plan of subdivision in Loyalist Estates North draft plan. as well as a zoning bylaw amendment. The application is to remove a walkway block from phase 11 as it's no longer needed. It was there for an option for servicing. The servicing is no longer needed as the servicing will be within the municipal right of way. Therefore, the walkway is being removed from the draft plan. As a result, it is being rezoned from open space to residential. As well as there's a minor reconfiguration of 3 lots within the subdivision as well, just to straighten out the rear lot lines. Staff have reviewed the applications against the provincial policy statement and municipal planning documents and find they are consistent. As well, public notice was given as well as technical circulation, and there were no negative comments received. Staff are recommending approval of the applications.
Thank you. Council, any questions for staff at this time? Seeing none, thank you. We'll open it to the public then. Is there anyone in attendance who wishes to speak on this item? Seeing none? Yes,
No, wait,
This is in the Loyalist Golf Course, where they're building the new road right now.
yes,
Near River Royal Oak.
Yes.
I'd just like to ask a question. I'm at the corner of Green Haven Country
would,
Club.
would you like to come forward and staff will just move out of the way? If you could come up and just give your name and address and then ask the question and for the public meeting. Thank you.
Okay,
We just like to recognize and have everything minuted.
okay. It's Nancy Trudell. I live at 101 Green Haven Court, right at the corner of Country Club and Green Haven. So my question is just, apparently there's been a proposal to have a back way in because the trucks, the subdivision is being built, but the trucks are still, they're driving all the way through a built community to get to the construction area. So is there a proposal to start coming in the back way? So like, it just seems ridiculous to me. The roads are getting dirty. At the corner, one of the neighbors down the street counted 65 dump trucks going back and forth with gravel. Like, that's once a day. 65 trucks bringing the gravel to make the new road up there. So is there a proposal to have
And I would
like a
just,
temporary road, not the real road, but just a
Yes.
temporary road to get the trucks in?
okay, and I'm going to turn to staff and see if they are aware of anything.
Through the mayor, currently through all the subdivision agreements we have with Caitlin. There is a approved haul route, and that is from Country Club to 33, as it's the most direct route to the development from a collector street. So the other option would be going through County Road 7, down through Country Club and back up through. And that would be bringing more trucks through residential development. So this is the closest point A to point B.
Closest is the only.
So that,
Trucks can't access Abbey Dawn because it says no trucks allowed. So the only other road is Country Club. It's just ridiculous. And I wouldn't say it's the closest one, it's the only one. There's no other. Like, Country Club is supposed to curve around and connect with where the townhomes are.
yes,
So if there was a way they could come in from over there, like they're eventually going to be building that, why can't they just make a temporary road? So they're just going by a few townhomes, not the whole community. I just
And I-
don't.
the designated haul route at this time then is down Country Club is what it's still.
That's correct. There is a designated haul route. It's the one that we use currently.
Okay. That's something that could be entertained in the future when the proposal comes in for any future developments.
That's correct. Through future phases, we could, and future agreements, we could review the haul route, but at this stage, that is the haul route that is approved.
Like, you have to understand, it's backhoes, it's large tractor trailers bringing backhoes, the dump trucks going through, like, it's just a constant. I moved here because I retired. It hasn't been enjoyable because it's dusty, it's dirty, it's noisy. It's crazy just having this constant stream of trucks through.
Okay,
And I just don't understand the planning of the subdivision. There's only 2 roads in, Country Club and Abbey Dawn, which connects, I don't know what that road's called, to Church.
Yes,
That's it. There's only, Country Club isn't the best option. It's the only because Abby Dawn says no trucks.
yes. So at this, excuse me, well,
Okay,
thank you for bringing it forward. And like we said, for future developments, that's something that can be discussed with the developers and try to mitigate as much as we can. Thank you. Any other members of the public that wish to bring anything forward on this item? Being none, go to the virtual audience. Is there anyone, if there's anyone in the virtual audience to speak to this item, please use the raised hand feature and we'll bring you into the meeting. Angela, if you're there,
Yes.
there we go. Good evening.
Good evening.
If you
Can you
could
hear me
just-
okay?
Yes, we can.
Great. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members and staff. My name is Angela Scabaris and I am one of the partners at Macaulay Show Me Housing. And I'm here on behalf of Loyalist County Country Club Estates with respect to a rezoning application and minor red line revisions to the draft plan of subdivision for phase 11. I do have a short PowerPoint presentation that's been provided to the town, but I can certainly share my screen if that's better.
She has authorization to share. Please share your screen.
Okay, can everybody see that okay?
Yes.
Great. So phase 11 was initially draft approved in 1998 and was subsequently revised in 2022 to increase the residential yield to 282 single detached units and incorporate a walkway block. And there you can see phase 11 outlined in red as it relates to the other phases. So initially, the need for a servicing connection was identified between lots 171 and 172. You can see the blow up here on the top right corner. And that block was created for, as I said, for a servicing connection and was zoned open space to protect for that and used or shown as a walkway on the draft plan. Through detailed design review, it was determined that the service connection in this location was no longer required and a walkway alone is not desirable. So for purposes of the application, there's a rezoning to rezone the walkway to residential type 2 exception 15 for purposes of conveying it to the adjacent lot. So the intent is to divide that walkway and convey half to lot 171 and 172. In addition, in the bottom right corner, you'll see there's red line revisions required to the draft plan to address minor red line revisions for lot line adjustments to lots 192, 193, 194, and 237 for improved configuration. So basically just making them regular rectangular shaped lots. That red line revision will also include the modification to the walkway. So for zoning clarity, you can see on the screen, the walkway is zoned open space and the intent is to rezone it to R215H, bold provision, in accordance with the lots on either side. So what does this mean? The walkway is 6 meters wide, has an area of approximately 212 square meters. The existing lots, 171 and 172, are 16.8 meters in frontage. And this will increase those lot frontages by 3 meters and will increase the lot areas accordingly. No other provisions of the R2 zone are affected. So just general comments, there's no adverse impact on the surrounding uses. The walkway was not included in the original subdivision that had been approved in 1998, but was added in 2022 to accommodate expected future servicing needs. However, as I had indicated, due to or through detailed design, it's no longer required in this location. The applicant's engineers are updating their servicing and grading plans accordingly. And the red line adjustments for lots 192, 193, 194, and 237 create more regular shaped lots and have no impact on zoning standards. The rezoning and red line revisions conform to the official plan. Staff have provided council with a very comprehensive report, and we are in support of their recommendations. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you. Council,
Thank you.
any questions at this time? Seeing none, no questions are coming forward, so thank you for your presentation. Technically, no. It's from council. So in the virtual audience, if there's anyone else that wishes to speak to this zoning bylaw amendment, please use the raised hand feature and we can bring you into the meeting. Seeing none. So that ends the public meeting portion of it. So we do have a report with the recommendation that the report from the Development Services Division, September 11, 2023, read public meeting and recommendation, Loyalist Country Club Estates North Red Line Amendment to draft plan of subdivision D12010 and zoning bylaw amendment D14007 2023 be received, and that bylaw 2023-059 being a bylaw to rezone the property found in parts of lot 8, 9, and 10, concession 1, former village of Bath, now Loyalist Township, from the open space zone to the residential type 2, exception 15 holding zone be enacted and passed, and that the red line amendment to Loyalist Country Club Estates Loyalist North draft plan of subdivision D12010 be approved in accordance with attachment 1, and that the draft plan condition number 1 for draft plan of subdivision file D12010 be revised as follows. That these conditions apply to the draft plan of subdivision as depicted on the plan prepared by Macaulay Shomi Howson Limited, dated August 18th, 2023, and including 282 single detached lots. This red line approval and the March 28, 2022 approval with draft plan conditions number 2 to 41 supersede the previous draft plan approval dated February 3rd, 1998, as it relates to the land depicted in the above referenced draft plan of subdivision. Council, how do we wish to proceed? Do we have a mover? Councilor Broderick?
I'll move that we accept the staff report
And recommendation?
and to approve it.
So moved. Do we have a seconder? Deputy Mayor, so seconded. Any comments from the mover?
I would just say it meets all the requirements of Planning Act and does not, and it adheres to the original plan, and that in effect, I believe it cuts off a path to nowhere because it would end up on the 9th hole of the golf course, which would lead to more problems down the road with trespassing, et cetera, onto private property.
Thank you. Any comments from the seconder? Anyone else? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor, please raise a hand. Motion is passed. The next public meeting is for 1197 Reese Road. Thank you. Do you have any comments or further information on this item?
Yes, through the mayor, just a brief overview. The application is for a zoning bylaw amendment for a secondary dwelling unit on a 68 hectare parcel on Reese Road. The secondary dwelling unit would be above a garage. Staff have reviewed the application against provincial policy statement as well as municipal planning documents, specifically section 7.33B of the official plan, which outlines a number of criteria for secondary dwelling units in the rural area on above an accessory building. Staff find that the application meets all of those criteria. The applications have been circulated to the public as well as to commenting agencies, and we have received no negative comments to date. For those reasons, staff are recommending approval. Thank you.
Thank you. Council, any questions for staff at this time? Seeing none. Thank you. We'll turn to the public meeting portion. And Mr. Mack, if you wish to come up, this would be the appropriate time to address council on this item. If you could again, just provide your name and address and
Okay, my name is Gary Mack and I live on Reese Road, lot number 24, concession 4. It's on the west side of Reese Road. And I have some questions about this zoning law that Ms. Porter wants changed. May I bring it to you?
yes, please. Are you want, do you have them that you want to read them out?
I want to know if this is one house, two houses, or how many houses that you planning on building here?
Okay,
Different changes. I don't understand that.
okay. So I'll just summarize for staff. So the question is, how many secondary dwellings are being proposed under the zoning bylaw amendment?
Thank you to the mayor. Just one secondary dwelling. So there is one dwelling on the property currently. Through the zoning bylaw application would allow for a accessory dwelling unit. Above the house. So we call it secondary dwelling. One additional unit on the
So it's one building. It will have a garage on the ground floor and a residence on the second level.
Through the mayor, that's correct.
Okay. Did you have any other?
Well, as I understand it, according to that thing there, that I get the impression that there's going to be more than one dwelling, that she has have the zoning laws changed so she can make more than one dwelling on different lots, not just the one house and the one lot
Yes, and could I ask?
in the future?
Yes, I'll just ask staff because they can speak to the technical portions better than I can, but if they're going to answer your question now. Thank you.
Yes, through the mayor. So it's just one lot, and they were through this zoning bylaw, they would only be permitted to build one additional dwelling unit. So, and that it's within an accessory building. So just one more unit on the same lot. No additional lots. No, just one additional dwelling.
And is she allowed to build on the rest of the land? As I understand it, the bylaws back in the 90s, you had to have 25 acres to build one house, one lot. Is that changed?
So with this one here, it's not a severance. There's going to be the official plan and the provincial regulations have been changed in the last year, give or take. And it does allow more than one residence to be built on a piece of property that's designated rural, if I remember correctly, in our zoning bylaw. So this is the step that's taken to be able to permit fulfilling that, what they're allowed to do under the official plan and under the provincial regulations is to build more than one house on a single piece of property. It's not a severance. So it's just the one additional dwelling that's being dealt with tonight under this bylaw amendment.
Which would be 2 acres.
No, because there's no severance. So it's on the same piece of property. There's no severance from the original piece of property.
Okay.
The one piece of property will now have 2 dwellings on it, which is allowed through the official plan of the township and through the provincial regulations.
Okay, because I had quite a few concerns if it was going to be more.
No, it's just the one building that's under this amendment, bylaw amendment that's being proposed this evening. And I'll turn it over to a staff member that can speak better to it than I can too.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor, and just to add just one quick clarification thing, our official plan also has policies preventing a secondary dwelling unit from being severed. So if a severance application came in to sever off that house and create another lot, like with the garage on the top, it couldn't be supported due to our policy framework that prevents severances for them.
When I had built my garage and my shop, I was only allowed, I couldn't put a second floor level on my land, on my shop. I could only go so many feet at the peak of the roof. And I wanted to build a 2-story building, and then I was not allowed to do that. Is that bylaw still in effect or no? For the height that you want for a secondary?
We'll just ask staff to speak to that.
Through the mayor, that is included within the zoning bylaw amendment. So the minimum height for an accessory building is 4 meters. However, as they're proposing to build on the second
Or, sorry, this Mike, as they're proposing to build on the second floor, they are seeking relief to raise the minimum height of an accessory building. So that is a part of this application to allow for increased height.
Is that just for this agenda, or is that for anybody in the future?
That's through this application. So if you would like to have a second floor on your accessory building, you'd have to apply for a zoning bylaw amendment or a minor variance to allow you to exceed those requirements of the zoning bylaw.
Okay. Some questions, but thanks.
Okay, thank you. Would you like your piece, this back? You keep your papers all together. Thank you. Anyone else in the audience wish to speak to this bylaw zoning amendment? Seeing none, I'd ask in the virtual audience if you, oh, please come forward. Same thing, sit down. Name and address, and then you can ask.
Yeah, my name is Michael Bullitt. I live at 1205 Rees Road, so I'm just beside Ms. Porter's lot. My question is about when they drill the well, when they want that to get the well going, how do they go about it? And I'm not asking for, how they build a well, but I'm just saying, can it affect the water or the well for other people in the vicinity of where she's going to drill the well? That's what I'm interested in. Like, are you going to use any kinds of explosives or something like that to that could affect the water table, I guess is really what I'm asking. Can anyone give me any information about that?
Okay. Are they drilling, putting in another well, or are they using existing on this?
They do intend to put in another well. I don't know whether it lost it. However, they did provide a
Well interference study based on the current well and to understand the current water situation on the property. And they found that with the introduction of a new well, it won't impact neighboring wells.
Okay, that's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So I'll go back to the virtual audience. If there's anyone in the virtual audience that wishes to, there's no one in the virtual audience. We're good. Okay. So that concludes the public meeting portion. Council, any questions for clarification at this time? Seeing none. The recommendation with the report is that the report from the Development Services Division, September 11, 2023, public meeting, recommendation report 1197 Rees Road, zoning bylaw amendment, D14-005, 2023, be received in the bylaw number 2023-058, being a bylaw to amend the rural zone to the rural exception 17 zone to permit a secondary dwelling unit in a detached accessory building and to increase the height of an accessory building be enacted and passed. Council, do we have a mover? Deputy Mayor, so moved. Seconded by Councillor Parks. Mover, any comments? Seconder?
Just that based on my understanding, it meets all the requirements that are being asked. So that's why I seconded the motion.
Anyone else? Any comments? Call the question. All in favor? Motion is passed. At this time, we've got the Adoption of the agenda. Could I have a mover that the agenda for this September 11th, 2023 meeting be adopted as circulated? Oh, yes. The clerk, we do have a minor adjustment here.
Yes, through your worship, there is an addition that is time sensitive under corporate services, so be added under 13.4. It'll be a verbal update and it's regarding the Housing Accelerator Fund.
Thank you. So with that, yes. Thank you for that reminder. So it would be that the agenda would be adopted as amended. Moved by Councillor Parks, seconded by Councillor Budrick. All in favor? There's a hand. Motion is passed. I've already done the declarations, delegations and presentations. Fire Marquee, Chris Carrier, if you could come forward and provide us with the information that you've brought this evening.
Good evening, your worship, members of council, senior staff, and audience members, both here and at home. It's a pleasure to be here. It's always fun to watch a municipal council, having served as an elected official myself for 13 years. Actually 8.5 months, because I did serve last term as well. Somebody had quit on Collingwood Council and they asked if anybody was silly enough to volunteer to fill in for the remainder of the term. And I did that as well. I'd just like to talk to you about our Firemark Cost Recovery Program. Firemark began its operations in 2011 on the operational side of the business. We started with 0 clients in Ontario, and we now have 1/3 of Ontario municipalities' fire departments as clients. We have also 2 local services board and 1 First Nations community. We've also expanded into British Columbia, Alberta, Saskatchewan, and New Brunswick. And we're hoping now post-COVID to expand more aggressively right across Canada, coast to coast to coast. Our largest client is the city of Kitchener. Our smallest client to date is the village of Newbury near London, Ontario. So it does not matter the size of the community. It matters whether or not they have a fire service or a contracted fire service. There's cost recoveries that your fire service is entitled to receive under the additional coverages section of property insurance policies. Next slide, please. Oh, can we go back one? Thank you. The top 20 market players in Canada represent 84% of the insurance property casualty market. There's 193 insurance companies operating in Canada currently. So you may recognize your insurance provider at that top 20, or you may have a local insurance provider as well. Next slide, please. Under the additional coverages section, if you check your home policy, you will see that there will be language that says fire department service charges. This is an example of a coverage that has up to $25,000 in fire department expenses that are eligible to be recovered on behalf of the fire service. Next slide, please. You also have a number of policies that have a lower amount, $1,000 coverage. So 193 companies operating, a number of them offer different types of policies. So the policy coverages do vary. They range from 1,000, 3,000, 5,000. It just depends on the type of product that you're buying from the insurance carrier. Next slide, please. Once more. The legal definition of indemnification technology is in our service agreement, but this is to emphasize to you and to your listening audience that what we do is that we invoice the insurance company on behalf of your fire service, the expenses that they've incurred up to the limits of the policy. We are not, and I repeat, not invoicing your constituents and asking them to pay and then get reimbursed by their insurance carrier. No pun intended on the last name. So it's a situation where we are directly working, our team, our cost recovery team is working with the insurance adjuster for the company who has provided the insurance to the policyholder. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. More? There we go. I have provided for your staff to review a standalone cost recovery bylaw. You have the privilege as elected officials to pass local legislation, local bylaws, and the purpose of that is on the next slide, please. Almost all insurance contracts policies are written in such a way that in order to unlock the coverage contained within the policy, it does say within the wordings that they will pay, but there must be a requirement to do so. And that is how we have designed our program so that you pass that legislation to unlock that coverage. Next slide, please. The Insurance Bureau of Canada, you may be familiar with. They are a trade organization, registered federal lobbyist for the insurance industry, coast to coast to coast. And they are on record as acknowledging that these bylaws are both legal and enforceable. They may not like it at times, but it is both legal and enforceable. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Process is fairly straightforward. You have, as I said, a third of Ontario fire departments that are already doing this. So there's plenty of resources that your chief can contact from colleagues to say, does it work? And the answer, short answer will be yes, so that you understand what we would like as a copy of the standard incident report. That is paperwork that the fire chief is already filling out. After an insured property incident, we are not talking motor vehicle. We're only talking property related incidents. We have a database that we will then pull up to see who the adjuster is for the company that is dealing with this property. So let's just use Cooperators as an example. We would know who the adjuster for Cooperators is for this area. We would reach out to them, ask about the incident, ask if the policyholder is making a claim against their policy. The answer is yes. Then we piggyback on that claims process. If the answer is no, we close the file and we return it to you. The average recovery takes about 14 weeks. The shortest recovery has been 8 days. And the longest recovery has been 42 months. The 42 months was a non-residential fire. It had a maximum payout of, I believe, $5 million. So we had to wait till near the end of the completion of the bills that were all totaled up, and we were still able to recover a substantial 5-figure recovery for our client. Clients receive 70% of the funds recovered. We receive 30% for ourselves. There is no annual, there is no minimum. So if we had worked on that file for 42 months and there was no recovery, there is no cost to our client. If it's a property matter that your chief is unsure of whether there's property insurance coverage or if it's a recoverable file, we will review that file. And there is no charge for us to review that file. We only receive compensation if you receive compensation. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Once more, once more. There we go. Oh, can you go back one? Thank you. Right there. So this is a real invoice, and you can see that sometimes fires can be rather costly to your municipal fire service. In this particular incident, there was almost $22,000 in costs incurred on the initial incident. There was 2 rekindles, which cost $3,000, and then another $2,000. And then there was also mutual aid costs. This fire was 100% covered. So actually the whole amount was recovered for our client. However, it could have been a $5,000 coverage, it could have been a $10,000 coverage, and it could have been a $1,000 coverage. We only invoice to the limits of the coverage. So there is no money out of pocket by the policyholder. It all comes from the insurance company. Next slide, please. And next slide, please. This is an important conversation to have, and I know that time is precious, but I want to emphasize that when establishing the premium that you pay for your policy, the insurance company has already covered the cost of covering the claim. Premiums are calculated to cover taxes, operating expenses, and expected profits. So they know that they should be forecasting paying out on fire department expenses, much like you do with your municipal budget. You forecast what your expenses should be, your actuals you will review at the end of the year. So establishing that premium, they know they should be paying out. So there is no risk to the premiums going up because they've already forecasted that they should be paying out. The policyholder is not entitled to those funds. Only the fire service is. So if the fire service doesn't get it, the insurance company gets to keep it. Next slide, please. Money stays within the fire service budget for public education campaign. Next slide, please. Personnel training. Next slide, please. And capital purchases. Our contract says to you under Section 5 that the money stays within the fire service budget. There's a reason for that. In 1998, the Supreme Court of Canada decided what the difference was between a fee and a tax. The municipalities have limited taxing powers. You don't have as much limitations when it comes to charging a fee or a cost recovery. If a fee or a cost recovery goes into general revenues, it could be deemed to be an indirect tax, which you do not have the right to do. So in establishing this, because our company was started by a number of retired and semi-retired insurance professionals, we took that risk away from our clients by ensuring that within our contract, the money stays within the fire service budget. Next slide, please. Once, bless you. Once more. Now, I served on councils when we did not have natural persons powers, and then it switched to natural persons powers. So those of you who have served under the old way, you were under the thumb of the province of Ontario, and it was a miserable time in Ontario to be under the thumb. When they gave us natural persons powers, what a breath of fresh air. The test for your actions are reasonableness. Is it reasonable for you to pass local legislation to unlock an insurance contract to which you're not a signatory to, but you are entitled to receive the funds under the additional coverages section? The policy says, unless you pass local legislation, you can't have the money. Of course, it's reasonable for you to take these actions. Next slide, please. Next slide. The insurance industry has been making lots of money. If you Google it, please don't feel sorry for them. You can see here that last year, the P&C industry had the highest return since 2003 and 2004 on equity. They're making good money. So there's lots of words that come out in statements on natural disasters and things like that. But I can assure you the Canadian insurance industry is one of the largest reinsurance markets in the world. So they take their property portfolios and reinsure them. Next slide, please. Oh, here we go. Here's an example of an insurance policy. It was $1,500 for all of those coverages. Next slide. Identified premiums, 98%. That's all of those identified premiums. Next slide, please. Oh, look, the fire department coverage for this policy was only $2,000. Next slide. And $25 for the remainder of those collection of coverages. Next slide. Next slide. More. Our position is it costs $1.90 to $3.40. So $2 to $4 for easy math per $1,000 of coverage. So that policy that has $2,000 worth of coverage, it costs $4 to $8 to your premium. Next slide, please. You can see how tiny portion the fire department coverage is for the overall premium rate. Next slide, please. There is no deductible applied to this. There will be no out-of-pocket money by your constituents. Next slide, please. Once more. Once more. If you're entitled to $500,000 in payout under residential policies, and the fire service, let's say, has $5,000 in eligible expenses, the policyholder will still receive $500,000. It's not deducted from what they are to receive. So our policy or our program is designed not to harm the policyholder. It is to maximize the return of expenses to the fire service. Next slide, please. And hey, we pay taxes. Isn't that why we have a fire service? In essence, yes. However, the insurance industry is selling an insurance policy that has this coverage. So we're asking the insurance industry to honor the contract to which they are signature to with their policyholder and reimburse through us, the fire service, for the eligible expenses that are only incurred when they respond to an incident. Next slide, please. Once more. Once more. This was a tornado in 2014 near Base Borden, Ontario, in Essa Township. Next slide. Once more. 103 properties were impacted by this tornado. Nobody budgets for this. Next slide, please. 41 different insurance companies. Now you might have looked at that and said 103 properties. How many insurance companies? 10, 15? No, there's 41 different insurance companies that we had to deal with. Next slide, please. We received the files 11 months after the incident. It took us 10 months to recover from all 41 different insurance companies. Next slide. And we returned the funds to our client, Essa Township, their costs, and the 4 neighboring fire departments as well, to Essa Township to distribute to their neighbors and thank them for responding to that emergency. Mayor Terry Dowdle at the time is now an MP for Simcoe Grey. You may have met him at AMO. He was there walking around chatting everything to people. His wife is also the CAO of Essa Township. Next slide, please. And there's some of your chief's colleagues across the country. It's always fun to drop off a check. You might be surprised at this next statement. I can show up and drop off a check and I don't have to tell you I'm coming. People will come out of a meeting for a check. It's an amazing thing that happens that way. And your worship and members of council, that's my presentation as quickly as I could get it done. And I thank you for your precious time.
Thank you. Council, any questions for the presenter this evening? Seeing none, did you, Councillor Willis?
Through your worship, you talked about the fact that the insurance companies budget in this cost, but would they not base that on the frequency of claims? So if more townships are making claims, how can it be that this is not going to cost more to the end user, the public?
Through your worship to the councillor, because it's based on the incident rate. The incident rate has not changed there's been minor fluctuations in about the last 35 years. So they actually know, very much like your budget process, how much they should be paying out because there's so many incidents per year. They've also as I mentioned briefly, the property portfolios are reinsured. So let's take Fort Mac as a real example. Fort Mac, the firefighting costs were $17.2 million. That doesn't include Wood Buffalo, just Fort Mac. That was a $4 billion insured loss overall. 71.1% of that, so easy math, let's just say 70% of that was reinsured offshore. So the insurance industry received $2.8 billion back, but they would have received 100% of the firefighting costs because it wasn't subject to the 71%. It was part of the overall percentage. They would have got the money back. They wouldn't have lost any money. So the industry might push back, but I think it has more to do with control of the process from starting to buy a policy to adjudicating the policy at the end. There is no risk to the premiums going up. The inflationary pressures on the premiums is on the value of the home and the value of replacing those assets. The firefighting costs as a cooperator's policy, for example, 2015 is when it changed to $5,000, so 8 years ago. And I'm going to suggest to you in 5 years from now, it will still be $5,000. It's static, it's fixed, where all the other costs are variable. And if you talk to staff, they will tell you that when you do your budget, there's a whole bunch of line items that have no effect on the overall tax rate. It's the ones that are subject to inflation that have pressures on the premium or on tax rate. And I'll put it to you this way through the mayor. When was the last time you went to the grocery store and bought a loaf of bread and you had to leave the bread in the store? You get to take it home. You as the policyholder, you've paid for this coverage. The fire service should be entitled to receive those funds. The marketplace was designed for that compensation to be paid out. We've created a program where we're holding them to account to pay it out on behalf of your fire service.
Thank you. Yes, please.
I'm still a little stuck on this because a budgeted cost and an actual cost are two different things. And more municipalities claiming for this is actual money that will be spent. So will that not influence the cost to the end consumer? And is there not a risk that the insurance companies, if there are more claims, will just reduce every policy down to $1,000?
Through the mayor to the councillor on the first part. So no, because the incident rate hasn't changed. So they know that they're only going to have to pay this out so many times. There was a local, an area mutual, I'll say, where I did analysis of their actual financial statements. So they wrote 18 point something million, they paid out 10.7 million. And in that 10.7 million, there was only 3 eligible cost recoveries of $1,000 each. It was 0.028 of 1%. There's no risk. It's not going to cause anything to the premium increases. We have seen the industry increase the coverages over the last 12 years. The incident rate is not changing. And if they're making $2 to $4 per $1,000 worth of coverage, and the top 20 insurance companies have a lot of policyholders, the small mutuals still have a lot of policyholders. They might have 10, 20, 30,000 policyholders. And at $2 to $4 per $1,000 worth of coverage, they're not paying out 100,000 or 60,000 in fire department costs. They're paying out 3 or 5 or 8. There's still the gross profit margin on it. The math doesn't misrepresent the actual facts. They are not going to cause a premium increase to your constituents. There is no risk.
Any other questions from council at this time? Councillor Booth, Broderick. Gonna be a long night.
Just a general question. And I don't think I saw an answer there, but there may be the rare occasion when somebody has a non-insured building or something and it burns to the ground. What happens in that scenario?
Through the mayor to the councillor, we close the file and there's no cost to you.
Okay. Councillor Parks.
Thank you through your worship. First question, does every policy carry this coverage?
Through the mayor to the councillor, almost every policy carries it. I've seen 2 policies in 12 years that did not carry it. The first one was a very rural road in a rural township that was not accessible in the wintertime. The building was insured, but there was no fire department expense because the fire department couldn't get there. And I don't remember this. I don't remember the circumstances of the second one, but it is rare to see no coverage.
Follow up, please.
Please proceed.
So as more claims or more company or more municipalities join the service, what would stop the insurance companies from offering that, I guess, coverage? Just taking it right out of the policy.
It's so through the mayor to the councillor, they make as a line item, as the math demonstrates, it's a windfall profit center for them. And it's reinsured, like they're paid, they themselves have paid for the reinsurance. They're getting their money back, even if they pay it out.
Okay. Any other questions? Being none. Thank you. I would entertain a motion to receive at this time, moved by the deputy mayor, seconded by Councillor Broderick. All in favor, please raise a hand. Motion is passed. Thank you for the presentation. We'll be dealing with this item later in the agenda. I think it's item 16.1. It'll be coming up.
Thank you very much. I'm going to head back to my hotel and enjoy the rest of your evening. This is why I missed this stuff. So have fun tonight.
So the next item is adoption of minutes of August 14th, 2023. Were there any errors or omissions noted in the minutes? Being none, recommendation is that the minutes of the 15th session regular council, August 14th, 2023 be adopted as circulated. Do I have a mover? Councillor Willis, so moved, seconded by Councillor Ennis. Any comments? Seeing none, call the question. All in favor? Motion is passed. Corporate Services Department. meeting schedule and office closures for 2024. The best that our crystal ball will allow us to do. Welcome.
Thank you.
Did you have any further information on this one or?
Just a quick update on this one, Your Worship, if I may. Sorry. So in the early closure section of the report, there are references to the Recreation, Odessa, and Fire Hall offices. And I just want to clarify that the closures would also apply to the Manitou office.
Yes. Okay, thank you. That was the only update?
Yes, Your Worship.
Any questions for clarification from council? Being none. We have the report with the recommendation that the report from the Clerk's Division, Corporate Services Department, September 11th, 2023, meeting schedule and office closures for 2024 be received, and that the following changes in meetings for 2024 be adopted. The second council meeting in January for the Roma Conference be canceled. Second council meeting in July be canceled. Second council meeting in August to be canceled, and the second council meeting in December to be canceled. Do we have a mover? Councillor Parks, so moved, seconded by Councillor Willis. Any comments? Mover, seconder, anyone else? Call a question. All in favor? Motion has passed. Next is the Statement of Development Charges Reserve Fund. Balance as of December 31st, 2022. Any additional information?
No, Your Worship.
You? Any questions for clarification from the report to staff? Councillor Proderick.
On page 5, just a general question. So on the reserve fund, it lists of emergency services, parks and rec, development, et cetera. So in parks and rec, the opening balance was 53,000, let's say. And the closing was at 373. Does that money stay within the parks and recreation envelope or should be spent in other places?
So they're discretionary, so it stays in that area. We have borrowed from other areas in the past, but it is allocated to that specific area. Correct.
Any other questions for clarification? Being none, we have the report with the recommendation that the report from the Finance Division dated September 11th, 2023, restatement of Development Charges Reserve Fund balance as of December 31st, 2022 be received for information. Moved by Councillor Budrick, seconded by Councillor Ennis. Any comments, movers, seconder, anyone else? Call the question. All in favor? Motion is passed. 2024 preliminary budget information and timelines. Doesn't look there, it's starting to load now. Any further information? Seeing none. Any questions for clarification for staff? Yes, Councillor Proderick.
Through your worship, not a really question on this, but do you have any idea of what kind of feedback you're getting online so far? Like you're getting good feedback, no feedback, not sure, you know, doesn't, just I'd be interested to see how that's going right now.
Through the mayor, I don't. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's fine.
I should have gotten an update on that, but I did not. I apologize.
Could you maybe in the next week or so just give us a one sentence? We've got so many.
Certainly.
Thank you.
Any other questions for clarification? Seeing none. We have the report with the recommendation that the report from the Finance Division, September 11, 2023, read 2024 preliminary budget information and timelines be received, and the council approve the following committee of the whole meeting dates for the 2024 budget presentations and deliberations, November 30th, December 4th, December 7th, and further dates as necessary. Councillor Budrick? Yes. Okay. Do you want to answer that or do you want?
Uh,
There's one conflict now. Are these flexible or
They,
once the recommendation goes, they will be the dates?
they will be the dates once the recommendation goes, but at this point, they're flexible.
Okay. Okay, so we've got the recommendation. Do we have a mover? Counselor Willis, so moved, seconded by Counselor Broderick. Mover, seconder, any comments? Anyone else? Seeing none, call the question. All in favor? Motion is carried. And I didn't forget this time because I wrote it down. 13.4, update on the housing fund.
Thank you, Your Worship. So through you, just wanted to inform council, we received an email from CMHC that noted that while the funding can be put toward housing related infrastructure, the implementation of infrastructure is not an eligible initiative. So would not count toward the 7 initiatives that are required for the application. So I apologize for the misunderstanding and for the short notice on this, but we have until Thursday to correct this. Great. So staff have a proposal to replace that initiative with a new initiative titled Declaration and Sale of Surplus Lands for Housing Purposes. So this would include undertaking a review of township owned lands, identifying those that could be declared surplus and sold for housing or housing related uses, including lands that could possibly be used by the county for affordable housing. Reviewing opportunities for pre-zoning of lands where this activity would not be cost prohibitive, and receiving direction from council regarding the sale of lands and implementing the appraisal and sale of lands, if any, as directed by council. The estimated cost of this initiative would be $95,000 for staff time, appraisals, and legal requirements. And the replacement of the ineligible initiative with this initiative would result in a net zero change to the projected housing units over the 3 years of the program, as well as the 10-year period, which is another indicator that needs to be provided. And I would also offer that if council does not support the proposed initiative that I've just outlined, then an alternative option is to separate the initiative titled Development Policy Review into 2 separate initiatives. So one would be for the front ending policy and a second would be for the for the capacity allocation and securities policy. This alternative option would result in a net reduction of 6 units over the 3-year program, or a corresponding reduction in funding of $120,000 if our request was approved. So the recommendation that we're providing is on the screen for council's consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. Council, any questions for clarification? Seeing none. Councillor Ennis.
One, the declaration sale surplus lands. Could you just speak a little bit more about what issue this is that's trying to address? Like, is there a lack of available land within the urban boundaries, that issue that we're trying to get at?
I would maybe see if Ms. Furness could possibly address that.
Yes, through your worship to Councillor Ennis. No, currently right now, as a result of our last official plan review, there was no demographic data to support or projections to expand the urban boundaries. So I don't think we'd be looking at it from that perspective or needed from it. But I think in the situation that because it's township lands, that we could have some control over what could happen to them then if they were just put on their own, then we could work with the county for potential affordable housing things. And it just gives us a little bit more control over the properties and that they could be used for housing purposes within the urban boundary.
Any other questions for clarification, Council? Being none, we have the recommendation before us. It's already been read. Got part 1 or part 2? Council? How would you like to proceed? Councillor Broderick.
I would personally, I think option one, if we're looking at options, declare surplus land wherever possible and move that towards some kind of affordable, whatever you want to word it, housing, because we are in desperate need of it. And we all know we haven't built an apartment or anything like that in my lifetime, maybe, but I would support something like what's outlined in Initiative 1.
So you would move item 1?
Yep.
So moved, seconded by Councillor Willis. Would you like to speak further to it from the mover?
No, I just think that the township has to maybe be a little creative at times because you know that maybe developers aren't as keen to move on such a concept, and where we can and when we can take advantage of programs, we should jump right in. And obviously, the county may have some interest in helping us out in that area.
Thank you. Seconder, any comments?
Just to build on Councillor Broderick, I think it makes sense to maximize the funding opportunity and the potential for new units. So I support it.
Thank you. Anyone else? Any comment? I'm just gonna, with no one else, I'm gonna just say I fully support this. For the items that are mentioned, the other is for quite some time, it keeps resurfacing that we do have land and do we need it all? And can we surplus it for a variety of initiatives? And I think this is a good way, if we can get the funding to be able to do that and complete the work, then that's a benefit to the township. And also, as was mentioned, the county, if we can predetermine what would be available for development for the county to be able to assist us with, then I think it would be good to have that information in advance and be ready to accept any offers that were coming in to be able to develop it. So with that, I will call a question. All in favor? Motion is passed. Thank you. Community and customer services. First one up, recreation partnership agreements. Welcome. Do you have anything further to add to this?
Just questions.
Just questions? Council, any questions for clarification on this item? Councillor Ennis.
Thank you, Mayor. Just wondering about the request for delegation of authority to the CAO for signing agreements. Can you give us an idea? Is there any scope to that? Is that any recreation agreement, a certain subset of recreation agreements, dollar amounts, timelines, or just any idea of the scope of the authority request?
Thank you for the, sorry. Thank you for the question, Councillor Ennis. Through you, Your Worship. The idea is that it would be similar programs to this. Sometimes programs, opportunities come to us and they're time sensitive. And if we can have that authority to move forward with similar partnerships as this, then we'd be able to set those in stone a little quicker for our community.
Any other questions for clarification? Seeing none. We have the recommendation that the report from the Community and Customer Services Department, Recreation and Facilities Division, dated September 11th, 2023, recreation partnership agreements be received, and that staff be directed to negotiate partnership agreements with the organizations outlined in this report, and that staff be authorized to continue to develop further recreation and leisure partnerships to complement and enhance existing programs, and that council delegates authority to the CAO to execute the necessary agreements. Do we have a mover? Councillor Budrick? So moved, seconded by Councillor Parks. Mover, any comments? Seconder? Anyone else? Councillor Broderick.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just I would support this wholeheartedly. A lot of the presentations that Amo talked about shared partnerships, hopefully shared facilities, maybe shared dollars. And, you know, if it allows Loyalist Township to bring programming to Wilton and some of the areas that, maybe underserved because of various reasons. Again, a great way to do it. And I think when you look down the long run, again, and sometimes the timelines are very tight and you don't want to miss out on something because, have to get back to council and so on. So I support this.
Thank you. Any other comments? Seeing none, call the question. All in favor? Motion is passed. The next item is Explorer Inc. Municipal Access Agreement for fiber optic installation. Is there any additional information on this item?
No, just questions, your worship.
Very well. Council, any questions for clarification? Councillor Broderick.
Can I just, through your worship, just a couple, what does it mean, Director, in non-exclusive right to access? What does that mean to the layman like me?
Thank you for the question, Councilor Project, through you, your worship. It just means that they aren't the only ones that can go in the right of way. So if it's non-exclusive, that means Bell and Hydro and potentially Rogers and other Cogeco, other companies would still have the right to access that.
So if I can just follow up, so if there already is if there already is Hydro in there or something, they're not taking their rights away, just nobody else can come in.
Yep.
Okay, and just near the end of the report on page 20, it talks about relocation costs. And that's sort of I think that's way down the road. Is that just if they change their plans or, have to go to a new area or whatever? I don't know what do you mean by that, or just a general idea?
Through you, your worship, if the infrastructure ever has to be relocated for another project or something else, those are relocation costs that is referenced in there.
And yet, Councillor Willis.
Through your worship, where in the township are they planning to be installing these fiber optic lines?
Through you, your worship, I believe it is through the northern part right now. Well, I don't believe we included the map. Right now, Amherst Island is part of their area. It's through the broadband program, the provincial broadband program, and there's certain sections that were allocated to ExploreNet. So I apologize, I can't tell you exactly, but I do know that Amherst Island is part of their area. And there's different areas throughout the township.
Councillor Ennis.
Infrastructure knowledge.
Through you, your worship, no, it does not.
Any other? Councillor Parks.
Thank you, through your worship. Just a quick question. I'm not sure if you can answer this. We do hear quite a few complaints about the restoration of people's lawns after these services have been put in and the delays in getting that done. If I missed this in the agreement, I apologize, but would the agreement speak to that to make sure that it's done in an appropriate time frame?
Through you, your worship, yes, it does.
Any other questions for clarification? Seeing none. The recommendation with the report is that the report from the Community and Customer Services Department, Public Works Division, dated September 11th, 2023, Re-Explore Inc. Municipal Access Agreement for Fiber Optic Installation be received, and the council directs staff to enter into a municipal access agreement with Explore Inc., stating the terms and conditions for the construction, operation, and maintenance of its telecommunication equipment located within Township Road right-of-way, and that bylaw 2023-061 being a bylaw to authorize the mayor and CAO to execute the agreement be enacted and passed. Do we have a mover? Councillor Broderick. So moved, seconded by Councillor Budrick. Mover, any comments? Seconder, anyone else? I just have one question that I meant to ask, and in Schedule B, there's a few items here where no notification or permits required. I was just curious if the township would want to have notification simply to be aware of when someone is working in the right of way. And I know that that's sometimes hard to do because there's already utilities in there that may not be giving notification. But as the bylaws come up for renewal, if that's something we should be looking at, if nothing else, just simply for to make sure that we don't end up in a constructor issue or anything like that, not for additional work or inspection, but just simply so we're notified who's in our right of ways.
Your worship, we can certainly change that to notification only, the six cases that are identified in Schedule B, because this is just draft form, so we can do that for sure.
Just be a good liability.
Yeah.
Thank you, or at least review it. Thank you. Yeah, I called it for everyone. If they have any comments or questions. Okay, call the question. All in favor, please raise a hand. Motion is passed. Thank you. Economic Growth, Community Development and Services Department. Good evening.
Good evening.
So our first item is the Connecting Links funding agreement. Any additional information or just here to
No, your worship, just answering questions.
answer questions? Staff, council, any questions for clarification at this time? Seeing none. We have a recommendation that the report from the Engineering and Environment Division, September 11, 2023, Reconnecting Links funding agreement be received, and the bylaw 2023-060 being an bylaw to authorize the execution of the Connecting Links funding agreement be enacted and passed. Do we have a mover? Councillor Budrick, so moved, seconded by Councillor Porter. Any comments? Parks, what did I, did it again. I apologize.
Okay.
Thank you. Councillor Parks. Nothing. Thank you. Anyone else? Call the question. All in favor? Motion has passed. Green and Inclusive Community Building Grant Agreement. Any additional information on this one?
No, your worship.
Any questions for clarification from council? Councillor Pryor.
Thing going, just because I don't have the vast financial knowledge that some members of this council have. Basically, what this whole report says, if we project a funding source and it doesn't appear, we're on the hook for it, right? That's the whole one-liner?
That's correct.
Okay.
Any other questions for clarification? Seeing none, we do have a recommendation that the report from the Engineering Environment Division, September 11, 2023, read Green and Inclusive Community Building Grant Agreement be received, and that the township be authorized to cash manage any shortfalls associated with unsuccessful funding applications or partnerships identified in the agreement between Loyalist Township and the Infrastructure Canada as part of the Green and Inclusive Community Building Program. Do we have a mover? Councillor Broderick. So moved, seconded by Councillor Budrick. Comments from the mover?
Just, we need to get on the horse and get her going.
Seconder? Nothing to add. Anyone else? Being none, call the question. All in favor? Motion has passed. Fairfield Good Site House refurbishment.
Questions.
Yes, welcome. Any further information on this report or just for?
Nothing further, Your Worship.
Nothing further. Any questions for clarification from council? Seeing none. There is a recommendation that the report from the Engineering and Environment Division, September 11, 2023, 3 Fairfield Goodside House refurbishment, project update and pre-budget approval be received, and the council authorize additional pre-budget approval for 2024 in the amount of $878,421 for a total 2024 pre-budget approval of $1,164,121, and that staff submit an application for grant funding for the Fairfield Goodside House rehabilitation through the Canada Culture Spaces Fund, and the council authorize the CAO to be the signing authority for the application to the Canada Cultural Spaces Fund. Do we have a mover? Deputy Mayor, so moved, seconded by Councillor Willis. Mover, any comments?
Possibility that it takes seriously with us our heritage assets, but it is a responsibility.
Yes. Seconder, any comments? Anyone else? Seeing none, call the question. All in favor? Motion is passed. Status of water and sewer uncommitted reserve capacity. Yeah, information on this one to share?
Yes, to you, your worship. So staff received some feedback on the report and the recommendation. The part that somewhat limits the allocation of capacity until we have an allocation of capacity policy. The feedback that we receive could provide a better interim option, and staff would like some more time to dig into that potential option. So I'm asking council to consider a deferral of the report so staff can review the option, and we potentially would revise the report and provide the alternate recommendation at a future date.
So motion to defer to include additional information. Okay. Council, any questions for clarification? Councillor Broderick.
Through your worship, how long are we talking? Months, weeks, years?
No, we are aiming to come back at the next council meeting.
Any other questions for clarification? Seeing none. We do have a recommendation for deferral. Do we have a mover? Councillor Broderick, so moved. Seconded by Councillor Willis. All in favor, please raise a hand. Motion is passed. It's deferred. Thank you. Emergency services. This is following up on the presentation that we received, or the delegation. Is there any additional information you wish to share at this time?
I think the fire chief would like me to share my knowledge of this. Chris Carrier Firemark came to present to council tonight as a program that I rolled out and implemented in my former municipality, just to give council a bit of a heads up and to provide a little more answers to, I think, some questions there that council had. It's a program to recover money from the insurer that does not have any impact on the ratepayers. This is a big decision for council because some municipalities feel that they shouldn't charge extra for fire services, but this is money that is being paid for by our ratepayers already through their homeowner policies. The question came at is, can the insurer change that amount? And the answer is yes. Desjardins eliminated, and State Farm always had a $500 max. Desjardins brought theirs down to similar values. In Alberta, fire departments charge for all fire calls, regardless of whether the homeowner has insurance or not. And when Desjardins made that change to remove that coverage, people left that insurer and went somewhere else. And so Desjardins actually put the coverage back in. So it certainly is an amount that insurers can change, and it is up to them in terms of what that coverage is. Some are unlimited, some are, $10,000 and some are $500. We do not go and look to recover more than what is already covered in homeowner policies. So it's a bit of a unique business model that Firemark has proposed, mainly because they're insurance professionals. They know exactly what those policies say. And they only recover from residents. As I said, there's no deductible applicable. This does not limit the amount that the homeowner would receive for rebuilding their houses. If their coverage is for $500,000, they get a whole $500,000. So essentially, if municipalities don't look to recover these monies, it is just money in the pocket of insurance carriers. We haven't seen any issues in our municipality, and I believe our recovery is going to be quite low due to our fire call volumes. It's in the nature of tens of thousands of dollars that goes towards some much needed fire needs for training equipment and whatnot in the fire department. So I do endorse it as a good program that's available. Certainly to seek more money, but it's sort of hit and miss in the area. I believe we have some municipalities locally that are also using the program and some that aren't. So for council's decision, thank you.
I had through you, Mr. Mayor, I had the opportunity to speak to a couple fire chiefs over the few days last week. I just phoned a few that were on the slides. Nobody had anything really negative to say about working with them. They all thought it was a very positive experience so far. There's been no pushback from their residents on it. So I really, I don't see any downside to it, at least trying it.
Council, any questions for clarification? Councilor Pratt.
Through your worship, just a general question. What is the general length of a contract with them? Is there an opt-out clause? Like, I don't see any negatives to it right now, but I'm just wondering, in the case of, what kind of opt-out are you allowed?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councilor Product, the contract that they are proposing is a one-year contract that renews automatically unless we cancel it.
And 90-day notice or something like that? Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions for clarification? I'm just going to ask a couple questions. It was covered before, but I just want to reaffirm. It sounded like they utilize information and paperwork that basically is already being filled out after an incident. So is there much more work for our staff to be able to actually, or is it just a matter of sending some paperwork that's basically already completed to them so they can follow up?
We would provide them a copy of our standard incident report, which is the exact same report we file with the fire marshal's office, that just gives the address, the owner's name, and the insurance companies. So,
and then they take everything from there.
So,
and as has been mentioned, if there's no insurance, there's no claim, and it's only up to the level of the insured, the limit of the insurance.
That's correct.
Okay, so really, okay. I just wanted to make sure. I like to hear from our own staff.
Similarly, if your worship, if I may, if the homeowner is insured but doesn't make a claim, say it's not for a full loss, but it's just for a small amount, but they don't decide not to make a claim, the file is also closed and that's not pursued either.
Okay. Okay. Good. Yes. Question?
You said something about, just click some. So a claim is made, for instance, let's say there's a claim in that zone where Napanee is the first ones that are able to respond, or whatever scenario where another fire department has to come in. So does that help cover those expenses?
through your Mr. Mayor to Councilor Broderick, yes, that would cover any mutual aid or automatic aid is part of the program. So if we incur costs, we can bill for it.
Thank you. Any other questions for clarification? Seeing none, we have a recommendation that the report from the fire chief, September 11, 2023, fire mark be received and that council receive the report for information only, or council authorize staff to enter into an agreement with the Fire Mark Inc. to recover costs specific to fire department's response. Council, how do you wish to proceed? Councilor Parks.
Thank you. Thank you. I would motion to receive the report and adopt recommendation number 2.
So moved, seconded by Councilor Bubrick. Mover, any comments?
Yeah, thanks to staff for bringing this back. I think it is a good option to possibly recover those costs that are being incurred. As Councilor Willis has noted, I am concerned about what will happen with future premiums for homeowners if there becomes a lot of municipalities utilizing the service, because we all know the insurance companies want to make money.
Second or any comment? Anyone else? Just one comment. I actually like the fact that it's written right into it, that it's designated for the fire department in a few areas so that we know it's being reinvested right back into the service that helps serve the community. So for me, I really like that everyone knows that it's going back and being reinvested and where it's being reinvested. Minor point, but important. With that, I'll call the question. All in favor? Motion is passed. Thank you. Communication for consideration. Request for endorsement for the first anniversary of the Iranian People Uprising for Freedom. Council, how do you wish to proceed? Deputy Mayor? Receive for information, so moved, seconded by Councilor Willis. Any comments from the mover?
Yeah, simply that, I mean, I don't think anybody doubts that, Iran is an oppressive regime and nobody, I'm sure, wouldn't support and recognize, the worthiness of those, particularly women and girls who engaged in civil disobedience last year. And there's definitely a lot in what I've researched subsequent to reading the agenda. There are a lot of notable former heads of government, heads of state, Nobel Peace Laureates, et cetera, who have supported the 10-point plan for a free Iran. In what I have researched so far to date, there has been no official response to that from the government of Canada. And in the House of Commons, one member for Humber River Black Creek has introduced a notice of motion under private members, but that is yet to be tabled on the floor of the House. And so I just think that it kind of muddies the waters a bit, doesn't augment a robust understanding of what we do in municipal government to make statements on essentially what is a foreign policy matter. And that's what's essentially requested of us, is to endorse this statement. And so given that, we're a creature of the Crown and the Crown hasn't said anything yet, I think it's best that we just receive for information.
Thank you. Second or any comment? Okay, well said, right? Anyone else? Any comment? Seeing none, call the question. All in favor? Motion is passed. Are there any notices of motion this evening? Any motions or any notice of direct motion? Seeing none, we have the consent agenda and all the standard items are in there. It's, if anyone wishes to extract an item, we can do that and address it separate. Otherwise, it can all be passed as one. Are there any items that anyone wishes to extract this evening? Seeing none. Yes.
Procedural questions I was getting mixed up on.
Yes.
So at what point can we make a comment on
So if you can extract it and make a specific motion if you want something certain done with it. If you just want to speak to it, it can be, a motion can be passed and seconded, and then you can speak to it like any other normal motion. So with that, the recommendation is that the items in the consent agenda dated September 11th, 2023 be approved as presented and that the necessary action be taken. Do we have a mover? Deputy Mayor, so moved, seconded by Councillor Ennis. Mover, any comments? Seconder? Anyone else? Councillor Broderick.
I'd just like to bring to everyone's attention, one of the things that I often hear a lot about is water. And just that report 2461, that the final inspection rating of 100%. I hope that makes it out on social media, because I know in 30 years of education, I didn't see too many 100%. And thank the staff who were involved with that.
Thank you. And any other comments? Thank you for bringing that forward, Councillor Broderick. Typically with our water, we receive a lot of 100%. This is another one. Every single one of them is very good. Very kudos to staff. With that, I'll call the question. All in favor? Motion is passed. And any updates from members appointed to committees or county council? Councillor Broderick.
Just a brief update, Your Worship, on the last Cataraqui Region Conservation Authority meeting. There's a strategic plan update being undertaken, and I've sent all councillors a link to that. If you could take a few minutes, it's not very long. Basically, 3 capital projects are going on outside our township. A couple of things I found interesting. The Emerald Ash Wasp Release Program update was given, and they've somehow made these wasps that can attack the emerald wash borer. And then the afforestation update again with quite impressive numbers, and a budget update. So councillors could take a minute and share that with anybody who you think might be interested. Thank you.
That's exciting news. Now, if they can come up with one for the gypsy moth too, it'll be great. Sorry, I couldn't help. Any other updates from members? Being none. We're to members' privilege. Councillor Budrick.
Got a couple, actually, just the passing of 2 different members of community. One, Walter Scotty Kent, lifelong resident of the municipality, ran for council when it was the township of Ernestown in the 90s. Was unsuccessful, unfortunately, but was definitely involved in the community. And the other was Mrs. Bonnie Gravette, lifelong resident of the municipality, lifelong teacher at Fairfield Public School, and was my grade 1 teacher. So unfortunately, losing 2 great citizens of our municipality.
Thank you. Any other items to bring forward? Councillor Broderick.
I just want to thank the staff for the lovely Friday night activity at the Community Fun Day, and I'm hoping that's something that'll happen next year, and really enjoy working the barbecue line with the Deputy Mayor, Councillor Willis, and I know the mayor was there, but I don't know what line he was working.
I was playing. Yes, it was a great evening, and quite a few residents. It was well attended, and everyone seemed to really enjoy themselves. And there were some new activities that I'd never seen or done before, and well, we took a shot at it. Eh? We tried the Frisbee. Any other items to come forward? I have a few of them I'm just going to mention. Just for the public's information, the Deputy Mayor Townen, Councillor Budrick, Councillor Broderick, and myself all attended AMO in London in August. It was a good conference, a lot of good sessions. I found it was very good. We got some really good information. There's also a lot of vendors there that we can talk to and get information on any items that may benefit the township. Some staff were there as well for support for council as well as training. And during that time, council and staff engaged, had a delegation with the Minister of Transportation and her staff. The deputy mayor has sent out an update on that meeting. And if you wish to speak any more to it, he can, but he's already sent out a notice. I was not in that meeting due to a conflict of interest, but the deputy mayor took the lead on that. He is the lead on that file. And from the looks of everyone's faces, they were satisfied when they came out. So it was very productive, both for training, networking, and engaging with provincial ministers and parliamentary assistants as well. The other is that at the same time in London, I attended the TAPMO AGM. That's for the top aggregate producing municipalities of Ontario. The AGM was just before the conference started. It was a good meeting, productive meeting, and a new board of directors were elected for the next 2 years. I was elected as the director for the Eastern Ontario district for the next 2-year term. I currently was in that position and I'm back into it for another couple of years. And as part of the executive, I attended delegation meetings with the Minister of Natural Resources and Forestry and the Minister of Finance and associated staff. A little more lighthearted one, Odessa Agricultural Society. I just want to thank them for the fair. It was a very successful year again, great community event. And I just wanted to acknowledge the volunteers, the enormous amount of work that goes into making sure that that fair happens every single year. And to be able to make sure that it is entertaining and appealing to all the participants in it. And just to note that that fair is one of their main fundraisers that actually allows them to maintain the property, the buildings, and make sure that that is available for the residents to enjoy, including the skater park and also rentals for the buildings and property. The last one, I'm going to ask the chief, fire chief. I'm just going to look at him because I'm not sure of I saw an announcement that it's a girl. So did we have some firefighters that went over and above recently? I didn't have a chance to read the whole thing, but I want to acknowledge them if it's what I think it is. And thank you I'm putting you on the spot, so thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, this afternoon at about 2:40, the Bass Station was alerted to a woman in labor on Church Street. And yeah, very close. But I did double check the address. We did, I believe ambulance was a bit delayed anyways. We had a crew of 5 firefighters arrive plus 2 full-time staff, and about 11 minutes later, it was a girl. So they were all very happy and elated, and just as the baby came, so did the ambulance. So everything went well, and mother and baby went to the hospital, and dad was, I don't know what dad was doing. He was pretty excited.
Dad was just thanking his lucky stars that the fire department was there. That's great. Good work by the firefighters, for sure. And thank you, Chief, for bringing that unexpectedly. With that, just call it one last call. Any other items? Seeing none, confirmatory bylaw. Do we have a mover for the confirmatory bylaw? Deputy Mayor, so moved, seconded by Councillor Parks. Call the question. All in favor? Motion is carried. We have the upcoming meeting dates there for October. And we have a motion to adjourn. Do I have a mover? Councillor Budrick, seconded by Councillor Ennis. All in favor? Motion is passed. We are adjourned at 8:54. Thank you.